This is our 10th community call. Today, we are incredibly excited to be joined by Eyal So Eyal is the founder of DeepDAO. And we also have Tony Tang, founder of Inc. Finance, of course, the co-founders of Solv Protocol, Ryan, Mike, and I think is Will here. Hi, Will.
Yeah.
Good to see you. It's the first time that we three co-founders are all here.
I know. So I'm really excited that you guys are all here today. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So the topic of the day is a DAO financing landscape. I say landscape because with more DAOs getting built and thrive in the space, so is the need for a system of tools and utility platforms to service the growing needs of these DAOs. And that's precisely why we have invited a DeepDAO, a platform that provides an in-depth view of DAOs in the space, the actions and related individuals across the ecosystem, as well as Inc. Finance, which is a suite of tools designed to empower DAOs to govern and finance themselves. I personally chatted with Tony earlier this week about the protocol and the technology behind Inc. Finance, and was just really fascinated by what they're building. So we're going to get into that. But I will have a list of questions to sort of guide the flow of the dialogue. But definitely feel free to jump in, especially Mike, Ryan, and Tony. And Will, I definitely want to hear you and Tony talk about the technology, the specific technology of building the DAO infrastructure. Look forward to speaking with Camille about Solv and Inc. Finance and their collaboration. So welcome, Camille.
Hi, this is Camille. Hello, everyone.
Excellent. We appreciate you. Could you briefly introduce your project, Inc. Finance, to our community and your team?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself, as Tony is the CEO of Inc. Finance. I'm one of the co-founder and the head of BD. So Inc. Finance is a governance toolset for DAOs. We enabling Metaverse and GameFi ecosystem to establish governance economy, manage internal finance, and connect with the DeFi investors. Our core team is a natural combination of relevant backgrounds. So we have people including the traditional finance, fintech, such as Tony, and we also have layer 1 engineers and crypto influencers such as myself. So we are a DAO financial SaaS. We linking assets originators who need finance and DeFi investors who provides it. Johnny.
Great, thank you for the brief introduction. I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about what sorts of benefits Inc. Finance is providing to organizations that want to start a blockchain-based DAO, especially for a non-Web3 business?
Well, I think first of all, they will have to embrace an entirely different business model in which many boundaries inherent to the traditional models will be torn down thanks to the features of the blockchains. And secondly, the governance process can be as transparent and democratic and rigorous as they desire it to be. But then the governance framework itself can evolve with the organizations themselves. So constantly be driven by common interest of the entire community, which provides a very efficient feedback loop. If you operate in the traditional world, your community user feedback is not that flawed in hitting your management layer and all the way up to higher up. And with a Web3 based operation, that feedback loop is there, and the speed of a feedback is instant. So these are the key benefits that we want to encourage non-Web3 business to seriously consider moving their operation on chain to fully enjoy these benefits. But last but not least, Web3 offers infinite flexibility in terms of financing in ways that are not even imaginable or feasible in the off-chain traditional world. And so Inc. Finance strives to provide the tool set to address some of these barriers if they are barriers, to help non-Web3 based business to move on chain.
That was a great answer. To quickly summarize what you just said, I think I caught transparency, efficiency, and I think lastly you mentioned flexibility, right? Those are the name of the game for a blockchain-based DAOs, and I think that's generally like the advantage of moving to blockchain that a non-Web3 business should consider before migrating their business to the blockchain. I do want to ask you, Tony, what are some of the roadblocks or barriers faced by businesses that want to deliver products and services over blockchain? Because you mentioned the pros, right? How about like the cons?
Categorically speaking, I think that there are about three major ones. The first is the aforementioned overhaul of a business model. It requires an economic design that takes into consideration of incentives and responsibility redistribution for different participants. If you think of traditional boundaries between stakeholders and management and workers, that the producers and the agents and the consumers, etc., these boundaries should be redrawn or even entirely erased, right, to take full advantage of decentralization and tokenization. So that is a major challenge if you don't sort of subscribe to decentralization and tokenization. And the second major hurdle is the adaptation to a blockchain-based operating environment. Getting an entire ecosystem used to wallets, different blockchains, the gas fees, so on and so forth, can be very challenging. And many technical infrastructures on blockchain, to be very honest, are much inferior to that of the maturity of the Web2 technologies in terms of performance. Therefore, how to strike a delicate balance between on-chain and off-chain operations, that is a second major challenge. And then comes the governance integrity. In the traditional world, it's a trust-based system. Charters are written and the resolutions are written on paper. There's centralized organizations to enforce these rules. And the blockchain is a trustless system. So governance integrity and the issue of civil attacks and all sorts of malicious acts against your organization must be addressed. So in the decentralized setting, DAO is a form of collaboration, balancing the need of transparency and efficiency with that of competence and accountability. That very native form of a wallet-based identity is definitely insufficient for this purpose. So anyone who's moving off-chain, on-chain should think about these things. That these are the major three categories I can think of. And I think Inc. Finance is positioned to answer these challenges with a very comprehensive toolset from which user DAOs can pick the most suitable components that fit their unique circumstances. So all functionalities provided by Inc. are delivered through a no-code user experience, so you don't feel the technical barrier of entering. We want to help a DAO quickly set up and gradually evolve into its maturity.
That was really brilliantly answered. I mean, at this point, I really want to hear like either one of the Solv co-founders. What's your guys' take on the barriers faced by business that want to operate on the blockchain, and particularly what Solv is doing to solve those pain points? Does one of you want to speak up about this?
Yeah, I think DAO governance is another big topic, just as a DAO financing, and like in finance is a really good kind of tool sets, a suit of tool for both of the area, including DAO financing and DAO governance. So yeah, just like DeepDAO, we can take a look at their website. They are mostly focused on two things. One is voting, so it's about governance. The second one is financing. So yep, I think for Solv, yeah, we are more focused on kind of financing, and it's something just like a financial instruments. It's more about financial instruments. So if you so Solv Protocol is more like a financial instruments supermarket. So you can buy financial instruments, or you can produce some a financial instruments and sell it on this market. But in terms of the Ink Finance, I think it's quite complete. It's quite complicated and efficient tools that's they really just like a Ding Talk for traditional companies. They really help the DAOs to build a very efficient kind of economy and help them to to conduct financing. So they take care of the whole process, not just the final process. They take over like from the first step to the final step. So I think it's really interesting, and it's quite complementary with Solv, because we can act as a supermarket of the bonds, or like vesting voucher kind of a marketplace, and Ink act as a kind of a tool sets, or like CRM kind of system, or kind of DAO tooling system for the DAOs to finish or complete all the process of the in terms of the governance. And yeah, that's my opinion.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Tony. Let's move on with Ink Finance product and technology. Earlier, I was talking with Tony, and during this meeting, we were talking about Ink Envelope, this really signature product that Ink Finance has created. And I have to say, it really blew my mind. I cannot say I completely understand like in the full aspects how it works, because I'm not a tech guy. So Tony, can you briefly talk about like Ink Envelope and like exactly how business moves their assets from on-chain from off-chain to the blockchain, or even across blockchains?
Thank you. Yeah, as you said, it's a bit technical, but I want to describe it as non-tech as possible. So Ink Envelope is really a wrapping technology. What it wraps is information and assetting, particularly information about the asset and how the asset actually come about to be financed. The goal is to achieve maximum portability and scalability. Right? So as its name suggests, an Ink Envelope can package structured data about an asset, including, how it was used in the system, how it was originated, and what's the governance structure around those assets. It can even wrap another Ink Envelope, where the technology jargon is called nesting. Right? The profound benefits, I think, are really twofold. One, it makes asset description on Ink platform very independent. We are a multi-chain system. There are numerous ways of expressing a so-called non-fungible asset. Right? You have ERC 721. 3252, 1155, 1400. I can't even count the numbers, right? So as a very portable protocol, and Ink Finance must not be locked into any one of them or a set of them. Instead, Ink Finance would encode all the structured data that describes these assets, them being from a heterogeneous blockchain or an enterprise blockchain or even a corporate cloud, etc. Right? It then can provide an unpacking interface for user protocols such as Solv Finance, right, to parse and extract appropriate useful parts from the envelope to make any form of non-fungible assets on the local blockchain that's suitable to their ecosystem. So that's packing and unpacking. And two, the Ink Envelope is literally very much like a real-world physical envelope. It can be carried and delivered by messengers. So Ink Envelope can be serialized. The technical word is serialized, meaning you turn the structured data into a non-structured, a string of 010101s, right? And be transported via any third-party cross-chain messaging systems, such as Super Oracle, dBridge, whatever, right? Then we can deliver this non-structured string of data, serialized data, to a destination blockchain. Now, upon receiving it, Ink facility on the other end will deserialize to restore its complete data structure on the receiving. Then the result is that any protocol sitting on the target network can see with a total transparency how this asset was originated and how it was governed on its native blockchain or in the real world. So Ink Envelope literally makes governance reputation and the governance competence immutable beyond an ecosystem that's originally from. Right? So I think one of our institutional investors gave it a pretty good name. It calls ink envelope a programmable asset form. I think Will, you definitely can appreciate this feature, right? So let's say when I deliver this package of data representing that financial instrument that Solv wants to sell, it comes from Solana through this messaging system. It gets delivered on Solv's network. And Will, it's up to you to unpackage it because it restores the entire data structure with the dictionary entries and all that. You can make it into 721, right? And I don't have to rely on 721. You happen to be 721. Someday you can do 1155. It's the same package will be delivered to you. You can open it up with the same interface to extract any elements that you think it's relevant to your ecosystem.
To me, it's very interesting. I'm particularly interested in this product called Ink Envelope. Not only because you use structure, but also it reminds me Will is leading our team in developing a new Solv voucher called portfolio voucher and tranche voucher. So we also targeting so-called structural finance. Though I know this two structure doesn't mean the same thing, but we can see great potential that we can collaborate. For example, we can use Ink Envelope to wire our vouchers, to port our vouchers to another blockchain. That will be much easier for us. Otherwise, we need to deploy a whole set of new code to another blockchain. And then to do some tricky things to freeze the vouchers in this chain and activate the vouchers in that chain, that will be tedious. Maybe by using Ink the envelope, we can make our voucher, I should say, much more
portable.
Yes, portable, and yes, that's great. That's great product. We definitely would like to look into that.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much for the elaboration from attack to attack.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool. I want to hear from Will, like as this chief architect of the ERC 3525 token standard. When Tony was talking about ink envelope, right? Ink envelope. All I was thinking is, gee, this sounds so much like ERC 3525 token standard, right? Could you maybe from as a in a least technical way explain to us, like, what do you think of this technology, and how do you compare ink envelope with voucher?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for joining. I think that Solv vouchers and ink envelope has some common aspects as well as some differences. So let me first introduce the thoughts of Solv vouchers. There are mainly two aspects. The first is that Solv vouchers and ERC 3525 focuses on the internal structure of digital assets, because we focuses on financial instruments, each financial instrument has its different internal financial structures, such like bonds and futures and vesting plans and etc. They all have different internal financial structures. So Solv vouchers providing a tool set to let users to easily create these financial instruments with quite different internal structures. We have a set of smart contracts to describe these different internal financial structures for digital assets. And at this aspects, we share some thoughts with ink envelope, because we all know that the transparency and flexibility are very important to digital assets, just as Tony said. ink envelope also focuses on these aspects. This is what Solv vouchers do, but with more focus on smart contract structures. This is the first aspects I want to introduce Solv vouchers. And the second is that Solv vouchers focuses on the trading procedure of of digital assets. Although these many financial instruments have different internal structures, their trading models are quite same, or say quite alike. They all shares the OTC trading models rather than AMM models. Just like you can trade NFT arts on OpenSea or like something like that. So we believe that these complex financial instruments need the OTC trading models rather than AMM models. So we focus on their common trading procedures of all these financial instruments. So as a conclusion, we more focuses on the digital assets themselves rather than the operations or information transformation or say transportations cross chains. From my understanding, ink envelope more focuses on these aspects. The cross chain information transportation and cross chain operations of these digital assets. Am I correct, Tony? And so
yes, Will. I just only want to add that you from your perspective, when you define the financial instrument, whatever the financial instruments are quantitative features, right? It's a risk parameters, everything that's quantitative and numbered. You can think of that these numbers are originated by our DAO users with point and click. When they want to set up a financing scheme, they really just do the click and point. And at the end, they say, great, our community has voted to borrow $2 million in this way. That's the coupon, that's the maturity, that's blah, blah, blah. These are the financial parameters about that instrument. Realize that I'm not burdening Solv Finance to do that. These users are using our systems to generate these parameters. And I just deliver these parameters in the structured way to Solv. Then you can extract it. That's, I think, our beauty, because you can think of us as preparing the data and preparing the communication layer. You just need to say, suck it out and rebuild. If the information is not there, obviously it doesn't pass your muster. It will never get listed in your platform. So those guys who want to get money from you, those guys who want to fit in your voucher program, they need to provide all the necessary information. You can think of us as an information collecting front end, but it sits on a different blockchain, right? You think about it someday, if we are on Avalanche, if we are on Algorand, you don't have to worry about how to collect that data from Algorand. Who knows, right? They're just there. They do their thing. They say, voila, there's $2 million of fundraising. I want to raise it in the form that's in the voucher structure. And we will collect all that data and transport the data in the envelope, literally delivered in the hand of you. And your smart contract, you call our interface to open up this envelope and to extract all the pieces that fits your requirement. So I think we complement each other fairly, perfectly in that way.
Yes, I totally agree. And as Tony said, actually, I can think that ink envelope are the information source and operation source for digital assets. You say Solv vouchers, and Solv vouchers provide the financial structures and trading procedures for the DAO users, right? So we can cooperate seamlessly.
You will turn it in the tradable format.
Yeah.
And allow me to add a point here. If I am correct, this ink envelope product is a general purpose tool. It doesn't it doesn't subject to DAO treasure management only. Am I correct?
You are very correct. I mean, this goes way back to our root. Our root, because I myself, Dan, and Jason here, we're all hardcore financial engineers. Right? I spent 20 years, trading derivatives, and sometimes I'm an engineer trained. I'm a computer engineering major. I just somehow got into finance. Right? Our project started out as a hardcore financial engineering project. We become what we become today is through, various events that position us today as a financial solution protocol. But we were at the very beginning a very hardcore. So you are absolutely right. It isn't just a tool to deliver governance data. It is a general purpose sort of a metadata generation and the serializing, deserializing protocol. It's a very important part of our program.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, that's why some of our guys call this thing a programmable form of asset description. I think that's pretty accurate. One of our institutional investors dubbed it that way. Thank you for pointing out.
You're welcome, and it's very impressive. I think it's a missing part of the current blockchain infrastructure. I think our team definitely should look into what you're doing, what you're building. I believe we have very good opportunity to collaborate.
Agree. Totally agree.
Thank you.
It was a beautiful discussion, guys. We are running out of time, and since we have gravitated so much on the technical side of things in our discussion, I do want to. We still have some time to close with one last question, and this question is for both Tony and Ryan. And if Camille wants to jump in, please feel free. My question is, how is your product, and then this includes Ink and Solv Protocol, how is your protocol helping DAOs or any projects struggling in the ongoing bear market?
I think the bear market is a good environment to test the whales and the guts of any operation, DAOs included. So I think one of the most important takeaway is that no DAO should at this environment think about floating their meta tokens to fetch the benefit of a bubble, right? So that is not going to happen. However, what the DAO is a very different kind of organization in a sense. It's built upon its reputation. It's built upon its competence. So even in the bull market, it's a bit of nonsense to say somebody is bullish on DAO. To say somebody's bullish on DAO, it's equivalent of saying someone is bullish on LLC. It's just a form of organization. So in a bear market, I think any DAO should really set aside the idea of saying, because the DAO is hot, just let go of that idea and instead focus on what useful operational assets they can generate from their ecosystem. If you can generate valuable operational assets, then Ink can help you find the liquidity and Solv will place you, right? So build reputation, right? With its governance competence, build credit, right? And also do your eternal finance, do it in the robust and the transparent way to show your ability to vitalize its own economy. Then you can really use small scale and flexible structure products to gain finance from very targeted DeFi investors. Instead of saying, I want to sell this token valued at $200 million, don't do that. That's not what the bear market can offer you. However, in the bear market, Solv Inc. can solve your problem by giving you financing on the $3 million deal, on the $2 million deal. Use those flexibilities to really grow your ecosystem and build your competence. So all of this requires a level of rigorous and transparent, governance. You need to win the hearts of retail investors, particularly in the bear market. I think that's a very important value add for systems like Ink, for systems like Solv. We focus on structured solutions instead of saying, voila, here's your 200 million, token sale. That's not going to happen in a bear market. But this is also an environment to test whether you are trying to catch the hot wave of DAO or whether you really have a DAO that can generate assets and have operational assets that can really have usage. I think that's, if anything, that will be my two pennies on the table.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, I would like also to aid my point here. I agree with Tony that the bear market is a good test to the idea of DAO. Actually, I'm reading the history of ancient Greek these days. You know that the democratic system of those Greek city-states were tested by the Persian War. So actually, I believe that the bear market is a little bit like the war or some pressure test on post on the system. So we can we can see what type of DAO and what kind of institutional innovation can build really competitive DAOs. And maybe during this period of time, some DAOs can invent or make some institutional inventions and some tools. I think a project like Ink and Solv, we should look close to what they are doing and try to help them, try to build tools to support the most useful and most efficient governance innovations. This might, help them to make DAO a really successful social experiment in crypto, not only in crypto but also in human society. I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It was really inspiring when a topic such as DAO financing landscape get extended to the real fundamentals of our society, which is like what we can do to human civilizations, right? And then I think DAO is definitely a very effective in this day and age, especially in the age of Web3, is an effective channel through which projects like ours could contribute, like deliver real value to the society. Really hope bear market or not, if we keep building, stay calm and keep building, perfecting our products, we're going to see results. We're going to see the real value that our products will provide to the space. So, all right. So I do have more questions, but I apologize. We're running so behind on a schedule. I do want to close with a thank you to all of you, to Tony, Ryan, Mike, Camille, and Will, and Eyal, who's I think not here anymore. Thank you guys so much for coming on to our call today, and everyone in our community that showed up. Thank you so much for joining us. Please enjoy the rest of the day or evening, and then we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all the listeners.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
for
for
taking time, Tony
Yeah.
and Kevin. Okay, thank you guys. And
Thank you.
Thanks for time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.